Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over 10 changes that were made with the Agents of Sabotage DLC in GTA Online that released yesterday. Now there was quite a bit that they did, a couple good things and some bad things unfortunately as well, but we're going to take the good with the bad. And unfortunately there's a little bit of bad, and the bad, even though it's just a little bit, is pretty significant, which does kind of suck. And of course we're going to get into that, but we got to get into some other stuff first. So let's go ahead and jump in. Leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new. On to number 10. So the first change that Rockstar made was actually allowing for police lights to now be turned on without having to have the sirens on as well. In other words, there's an option to have lights or lights and sirens. This is pretty cool. Now the sirens whirring in your ears got super annoying after about a minute, but I always wanted to have the lights on my police car. Me and my friends do manhunt and things like that. So in manhunt, when you're chasing somebody down and you want to have the lights on, you also had to have the sirens. And after a while, it just got deafening and just made you feel like you had schizophrenia after you just listened to the whirring of the siren for so long, repeatedly, for several minutes, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, who knows. But it was super annoying. So now that we can just turn the lights on, I am super thrilled. I think that this is an awesome change, and I'm really glad that Rockstar actually thought of this. This is definitely a very worthy change, in my opinion at least. At number 9, we got a bunch of new vehicles, namely the Bravado Banshee GTS, which is probably the best car from the DLC so far. We also got the Dinka Shavos V6, which is otherwise known as the Karen Shavos V6 in-game currently, because of a typo on the website name for the vehicle. However, when you bring it into Los Santos Customs, it will say the Dinka Shavos V6, and the logos on the car will all say Dinka and not Karen, which is interesting. I don't know how they messed that up, but interesting nonetheless. Of course, we also got the infamous Dinka Jester RR widebody, which is horrible and has no customization and costs $2.3 million, which is ridiculous. And then we did, of course, get 3 new police vehicles on day 1, namely the Vapid Caracara Pursuit, the Canis Terminus Patrol, and the Police Predator Patrol Boat. I feel like the DLC Day 1 vehicles were pretty weak, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, the Banshee GTS is awesome, and so is the Caracara Pursuit and the Terminus Patrol. But the Police Predator, the Dinka Shavos V6, and the Chester RR widebody, for me, just didn't cut it. I think that we definitely should have got some of the other unreleased vehicles first, because they just seemed a little bit more exciting. Like the new C6 Corvette, if you guys have seen the leak for that, that would have been a very cool car to get on day 1, but at least we got some cars. I guess that's better than nothing, right? Next up, number 8, we got another change, which is awesome, and they need to just do it all the way, but we got 26 vehicles added back onto the websites. These vehicles were taken away with the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, and there were 188 removed, and we got 26 back. And I do have a video on the vehicles that have been added back onto the websites. I will link that in the first line of the description there. But some notable vehicles that have been added back onto the websites that are available for regular purchase again are the Benefactor Sterling GT, the Ocelot XA21, the Annis S80RR, just to name a few, but we have a lot of cars added back, which is really sweet. We just need to get the rest of them, and then the community can be largely a lot happier, I would say. I think that would be a step in the right direction for Rockstar to add the rest of the cars back, but I won't complain about getting at least 26. That is a good start. At number 7, we've got some payouts increased for both drag races as well as drift races. This will allow players to obviously earn a little bit more income for completing either of those activities. I went in and did one, and I didn't really notice much of a payment difference. Granted, I only did 1 lap, and I don't know what they paid regularly, but there was some form of an increase. I would assume 50%, probably because that is what Rockstar seems to do typically when they do a payment increase to a particular job. So probably 50% increase on drag and drift races. Pretty cool, could be worse, could also be better, I guess. Number 6, we got additional dispatch work that has been added into the game, which are of course accessible through driving an owned police vehicle and accepting jobs that Vincent will occasionally radio into your car for. And completing certain ones of these is how you're going to unlock the trade price for the new Vapid Karakara Pursuit, as well as the Canis Terminus Patrol. So pretty cool. I definitely am not going to complain about getting new dispatch work. I actually think dispatch work is quite fun, and it does provide a way to slowly chip away at the vast amount of money you've spent on a police car. So if there's a little more variety involved in that, then I think that is a good change generally. I'd definitely like to see more dispatch work added into the game, as well as maybe a price increase on it as well, given the premium that you have to pay to access it in the first place. But new dispatch work, not going to complain about it, that's for sure. Now at number 5, we got the worst change that they made with the DLC, and this is of course the nightclub passive mode kick out troublemaker event, and they have changed that. Now when you enter the nightclub in passive mode, the drunken VIP can spawn in addition to the kick out troublemaker event. Previously, if you entered in passive mode, you would only get the kick out troublemaker event, which, if you don't know, you walk up to them and you interact, you throw them out, you get 10 grand and your popularity goes up. Whereas the drunken VIP mission, you have to walk up to them and you have to drive them home, and you have to stay under a certain speed to get them to their house, otherwise they'll get spooked and you'll fail the mission. Very annoying. In addition to this, if you enter in passive mode, you can't begin either mission while you are in passive mode. So you have to disable it and wait 30 seconds if you do go in passive mode. So there's no point in entering your nightclub with passive mode anymore in the first place. However, something that is very good that was changed when they did decide to do this is that the VIP no longer gets spooked when you drive quickly, which allows you to just drive as fast as possible to the drop-off destination. I've also heard an unconfirmed report from a few people in the comment section down below that the VIP missions will not be nearly as far to drive as they previously were. They've reduced them to about a mile allegedly, instead of, you know, being like up to like 3 to 5 miles for some of the VIP missions, and you have to drive really, really slow. Now you don't have to drive slow, and hopefully you don't have to drive as far either. So it's definitely worse. I would much prefer to just do the kick out troublemaker event. It's not removed, but it is just a 50-50 chance of which one you get now, no matter what, which is really annoying, but it is what it is, I guess. Number 4, we've also got some new upgrades for the Terabyte that have been added into the game, namely a collectible scanner, a silent running module, a missile lock-on jammer, and a new location for the arcade's master control terminal that is found within the Terabyte. The price of the Master Control Terminal does seem to fluctuate. Mine was $500,000, but I've heard from a lot of people in my comment section that it cost around $1,250,000 for them. I've also heard from some other people that it cost $750,000 for them. I'm really not sure. The only reason that I can think of for this is because I already own a Master Control Terminal in my arcade, so perhaps that made purchasing a second one cheaper. I'm not really sure, but let me know what you think of this in the comment section down below. And if you want to know more about the Terabyte upgrades, I also made a video on that I will also link in the description down below on this video. Next up, we got some new clothing items added into the game for both male and female characters. There are over 100 new clothing items for both genders, and there's also one new hairstyle that has been added for either gender as well. Next up, we got the Garment Factory property that includes a passive income safe, which generates roughly $1,600 per in-game day, but it does seem to fluctuate. I've also heard that it may increase depending on the amount of priority files that you have completed, but I cannot confirm that just yet. You also do get a 10-car garage with the purchase, and a garage specifically for the aforementioned Terabyte. You also get a Mark II weapon workbench, a computer, and a phone app that both allow you to engage in the new mini heists, whether you're actually at the business itself or whether you're out and about in free mode, which is pretty cool. The mini heists themselves are similar to the well-loved auto shop mini heists. And finally, there is also a strange door that you can go to within the Garment Factory property, which will allow you to fast travel to 5 quite random and somewhat useless areas on the map, but I guess it's kind of maybe useful too. I don't really know. but kind of interesting. And at number 1, probably the best change that has been made with the Agents of Sabotage DLC is the fact that Imani Tech missile lock-on jammer modifications have been added to 50 vehicles, including some new vehicles added with the DLC, but also to several older vehicles, a lot of which have been added back onto the websites, like we mentioned a little bit earlier. Almost every single one of those vehicles that was added back to the websites has the missile lock-on jammer modification available for it now through the Agency Vehicle Workshop exclusively. So if you don't have an Agency Vehicle Workshop, you cannot put the missile lock-on jammer on any of those cars, so you got to make sure you have that. But I think that this is a really good change. I've seen a lot of people requesting that the missile lock-on jammer be added to a bunch of sort of regular traffic or more, you know, civilian style vehicles like supercars and just sports cars and sedans and things like that. And Rockstar have actually listened, shockingly, and they've added the Imani Tech missile lock-on jammer to like 50 cars, which is crazy. I honestly can't really believe it. It's kind of insane to see them actually do something that the community has requested so heavily. So hopefully more of this coming in the future, but I will take it nonetheless. 50 vehicles with the missile lock-on jammer is definitely better than 0. So anyway guys, that has been it for the video. Those are the 10 changes that were made with the Agents of Sabotage DLC. Now granted, there were a few other changes made, but I felt like these were the 10 most important ones that I needed to discuss in this video. Let me know what you think of the changes that Rockstar made. Do you like them? Do you not like them? And out of them all, what is your favorite change that they made? If you made it to the end of the video, comment a 7, leave a like if you enjoyed, if not dislike, of course, and do consider subscribing if you guys are new. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care. Peace.